You're a brand new officer, you don't know this area at all. Boom, you show up right now. What do you got?
On scene with a one-story single family smoke pushing from Alpha Bravo occupant status and conducting a 360.
Okay. Yeah. So looking at the building itself, start up real high. That kind of gives you that smoke indication. You definitely have it coming out almost everywhere except this Delta side so far. You called it a one-story residential. To me, I kind of like doing a little bit of a descriptive thing for others. So with a one story, this is where different departments or jurisdictions kind of have a different lingo or take on it. Probably most commonly they would call this a one and a half, but I would like to call this a two-story because is that second floor a livable space? Is it big enough to have a bedroom in it? Basically, I would say yes. You look at the house to the right, you look at the house to the left, and you got dormers and windows on there. So one of the biggest problems that you have, definitely making sure that occupant status is accounted for. But if I say a one story and then, we're thinking about our worst case scenarios in this, what would be another situation that I would have to rule out on this fire as an officer leading people in here? What would be one of my greatest concerns in this?
My opinion, you definitely got to go look for a basement.
Okay, right. So
Just look
basements.
the one to the Delta exposure. I mean, that house even looks like it's got a basement. Yeah, I would definitely want to rule out a basement fire on this one.
Okay, so the basement fire, and you can't really see the backside of this house. Probably not an elevation change. Maybe it's just the camera angle a little bit. But with an elevation change, if you start calling, a one story, then you go to the rear and you have two in this scenario with a pitched roof and possibly a livable floor up there, you might actually have three in the rear. You see on a lot of NIOSHs the confusion between front side, back side, one in the front, two, three in the rear. And then that has its own challenges if command isn't on top of that. I like to say, I give my best on scene report. And if anyone knows anything different, sees anything, or command recognizes an issue, it's really on everyone else on the fire ground to kind of correct that so we actually have the most clear, most perfect picture of the structure itself. So to me, I would call that a two-story single family with a pitched roof. And yes, you got smoke everywhere. Totally cool. What's the smoke telling you?
The contents are on fire, whereas it's not really brown, it's more black, so it's the interior contents, couches, beds, things like that on fire.
Yeah, totally. It's a petroleum-based products. So most likely, more likely than not, it's the contents of that room. So it's pushing, the term pushing, it's got a lot of pressurized, right? So it's in the high pressure area inside that house, confined in that house, and it's going to a low pressure, which is on the exterior, and it's just finding its easiest way out. Yeah, so with your on scene, I'm cool with that. What type of construction are we calling it?
Type 5.
Okay, so your wood frame, right? And then we can break that down a little bit further. What are our two classifications of that type five? And I break it down to two classifications because that's, to me, why it's relevant. And it's relevant because of time.
Not too sure.
All right, so it's the difference between Bethesda, Silver Spring, and, Clarksburg.
Legacy buildings. Bethesda's more like newer construction. Clarksburg's probably going to be more legacy, like real timber, real wood, whereas this will be OSB and glue.
Yeah, so your legacy would be your older construction type. So they kind of correlate that to your pre-World War II era. And then you have your post, which to me, I really started around the 90s, new construction. So just having those two classifications kind of keeps it simple. Yes, your eras of building can kind of be a little bit mixed, but what it's saying is that you have the true lumber, the structural elements are two dimensional, strong, old construction type versus the new stuff with the OSB, the gusset plates, the glue, all the other things that make our job a lot more dangerous, put off a lot more products of combustion, a lot more high pressure situations. And really, both of them just come down to time. And that UL with the truss roof, right? So a pitched roof situation is very common with a truss construction type on the interior. So having the true dimensional with UL doing direct fire impingement, you have about a half hour before that thing fails. Whereas what we're running to, and I said Clarksburg because of the new construction era, like right around, the two quarter stuff like that. Yes, that comes up in Bethesda and everywhere else. But just saying new construction, you have less than 5 minutes before that thing collapses. So to me, saying that you have a 2-story single family pitched roof legacy constructed type 5, I know I have time. I have more time than if this was a 2-story middle of the road townhome, new construction type 5. So as an officer, that should give you a little bit more confidence. And that's probably something you're just rolling up on scene and looking at this. You know, if you use one of those housing apps and you just pull up one of these houses, they're probably built around the same time frame. The house furthest to the left there gives you that balloon construction feeling on it. You have all these Cape Cods, right? So the Cape Cods that have their own inherent dangers, but you don't really see those things built a lot new like these times, because it's just a little bit more costly, a little less space efficient. So it kind of makes, I don't know, there's sellability or whatever a little bit more difficult. They'd rather build 15 townhomes on that same little plot, or build straight up and make it new construction. So yeah, so type 5, your wood frame, and I would say this is more that legacy. So I'm a little bit more secure in what we're going to be doing in there, as long as my time is still about the national average of less than 5 minutes to get on scene. So all that's cool. What would be like your IAP? What would be, just you're out doing your 360, now you're coming back around. What's your plan of attack on this?
I mean, a lot of that's going to depend on what I find inside Charlie. I mean, if you get back there and you find that there is a basement and the basement's on fire, then it's getting the line back there to access that. But if there's no basement, or at least none that you can see, because there could still end up being a cellar in this house, but there's nothing evident in the basement, just from what I'm seeing here without any other evidence. Getting a line to the front door, and it looks like somebody on the phone, maybe see if they know what the status of the people to live there is.
Okay. Yeah, cool. You brought up a cellar. So what's a cellar?
So out here in Canada where I live, pretty common, but there's no exterior access. It's only access from the inside. I know when I worked at 23, like over there off of Twin River Parkway, on the other side of Ears Mill, a lot of those houses over there had cellars in them. 21's area has a lot of cellars in them. But yeah, there's only access from the interior. Usually there are windows, but there are instances, especially depending on the age of the house, where there may not be any windows.
Okay, so it's a really good point, saying that there is the existence of a basement, but we cannot access it from the exterior, which is part of our incident response policy, making safest entrance, most efficient entrance from that exterior. And let's say on our 360 here, we come around and we have no, it may be a cellar, but we have no basement entrance. You're coming back around on side A. You said you're going to pull a line. Well, what line are you going to pull? And then what are you going to look for to determine about if this is a cellar fire or not?
So for me, I mean, should have your thermal imager with you. So as I'm doing my 360, if that is a block foundation, if it's a basement fire, those blocks are going to be hot, or you may see smoke pushing through them. But going in, I'm just going to go with an inch and a half cross lay for maneuverability. And then before anybody makes entrance through the doors, you definitely got to sound the floor if you're not sure.
Okay. This all comes back to your decision making and communicating that to your crews so they understand, so that you don't have to take the time getting off the rig and telling them what to do. I would rather have a confident lineman behind me and being able to have them make those choices and make me follow them. And let's say, well, I mean, you look at military situations where, let's say your officer goes down, someone's going to have to step up and take that role. And if they don't know that role, my job as an officer is to teach them my role, learn ahead of me, teach behind me, so that we're all on the same page. And let's just take it a little bit further and say they make a decision. Well, are they able to stand behind it, know the why of why they made that decision, right? So yeah, inch and a half, you can argue efficiency of moving that hand line. The flow is negligible between that 1.75 inch, even a 2 inch. I would think about the square footage of this house, the blueprint of this house. It's probably less than 1,200 square feet. You might have 4 rooms on that first floor, but really, to me, all it comes down to is this a deuce and a half fire or not? Yes or no? I'm going with no. I don't need the volume. I don't need the penetration and the depth. I don't need to lose the manpower to make that line work. It's out the door for me. So anything 2 inch and below of my attack line choices, my guys can choose and stand behind that choice. Now it comes down to just a simple factor as far as, where is my apparatus position? Where is my assignment? Where do I need to go? Where's the fire at? Where's the fire going? And what's my assignment? That distance is what dictates which line I'm really pulling. Did I nose up on the scene? I got a front bumper line, 150. Yeah, I could crush that all day. I mean, looking at the picture of this house already, if I get a coupling at the front door, I'm good to go anywhere in this house. 50 feet up, down, it doesn't matter. I'm going to crush this house. So as long as working backwards, my distance is less than 100 feet, I'm good with a front bumper line. The flow is negligible. The manpower, between a 2 inch, inch and a half, whatever, kind of depends on your crew. Maybe you're only running with 3, but that thought process for your guys in the back to be able to understand and stand behind why they're choosing that line is relatively important. Having a tick on you, the newer Bullard ticks are incredible. If you've never played with them, as far as checking out floors, they can totally see heat signatures in there. If you have some of the firehouses, like Station 2 has heated floors in the locker room, just use a tick and stare at the floor. You can see the exact pattern of how the copper was run and where the heat signatures are. Same is relevant for a legacy constructed or even new construction floor to see heating ducts and all of that. If you're only seeing the one heating duct going across, most likely it's not a basement fire because it's not going to be concentrated in that just one area. It's going to be a large pattern of heat. It's going to be across multiple, if not all of the flooring in there. That is a good tip and technique. That kind of all starts at that front door, though. So what are we doing at that front door initially? Yeah. From kind of anyone that was here last week. You as a lineman, I'm running around doing that 360. You are pulling a cross lay because you're within 150 feet from that door. That's going to be a great distance for you. You're confident in whatever line that is, inch and a half, inch and 3/4, 2 inch line. You're masking up. You came off the rig with your gloves on. You're at that front door. Your E4 or whatever, the driver threw the irons down at the front door. You're popping that door. And then what? What's anyone doing?
So for me, once I get the door popped, I'm going to drop down, see if I can get a peek underneath the smoke, do a quick sweep right there at the door just to see if there's anybody there. Because there may not, see if there's any visual clues that I can see just from dropping down below the smoke. Any type of indicator, hey, it's on the left, it's on the right, it's, whatever I might see to try and get some kind of orientation to the layout of that building and see what I can see. And it's the same thing, it's not a tick, but hell, just stick your hand in there and just lay your hand on the floor. If there's a fire ripping underneath that, you're going to feel it through your glove. That floor is going to be hot. So
okay. As far as teaching, you've instructed enough too. What are the 3 L's? We keep things simple, acronyms and all that.
Life, fire, and layout.
Yeah. So we started talking about the cellar fires and looking, exterior entrance, signs of fire below you, using the tick on the floor, maybe feeling that floor. Once you force that door, the first thing you're going to get is that high pressure environments trying to neutralize. So it's going to be pushing out that front door. A few seconds later, you're going to get some kind of a lift. And that lift is going to have that fresh air coming in low and that high pressure superheated gases coming back out. And it's really how high that lift goes is going to tell you if it's below you or same level or above you. And especially on anything above a 1-story, you do want to rule those things out. So if it stays low, if your lift is not that high after no more than 30 seconds, the fresh air coming in, it doesn't go with the hot superheated gases. They don't go that high, chest high or so. You'd still want to keep that basement fire relevant in your head. Maybe that's where you do your tick assessment. The officer comes back around, scan the floor real quick. That lift also would tell you if it's on the second floor. So very easy example would be like a split foyer. You open that door, you're in a foyer and you got up or down. If that lift goes all the way up to the top of that doorway, it's above you. I'm really not that concerned about that whole Division 1 at all. Kind of really narrows it down very quickly. Same concept on this. That lift tells you a lot. It's another factor in your basement fire situation. Yes, you're looking for life. A lot of victims are found near a window or door. It's about 6 feet or so. And then it's telling you right away the layout Are those stairs, because you can see real quick when that oxygen starts going inside, are the stairs right in front of me? Do I have hoarding conditions, which is something you should call out on the radio right away anyway, because that tells the later crews important information. Plus, it's one of those Mayday signs. And also, which generally am I going to encounter a 90-degree turn right away? Hose line management, kind of a situation, because you are an engine company, you got the hose line with you. What am I going to encounter as soon as I get in here, rather than rushing in? That 30 seconds that you're doing that on that front porch really does tell you a lot. So yeah, let's say the officer comes back around, we do that, we scan, we're looking for our windows, our openings, our doorways. I'm cool with everything that we did, our IAP. It's hard to adjust that SIR report right now because you don't know victim status. I would rather just say, for simplicity of these videos and training, you're just assuming you don't know anything. You don't know victims inside. You don't know victims are all accounted for. You can argue where that information came from, but let's just say we don't know in any situation. So we all treat this situation the same, and we just go in there and do our job. I'm going to play a little bit more. All right. So one of our factors on this too is you do have wind from side A to side C, but it's still, with that pressure, it's overcoming that and it's still escaping out to that front porch. All right. So we got the fire department showing up. We don't know where it's at. Maybe POV, whatever. Cops helping you get dressed. That's cool. Right there, you saw a wind change of direction. All right. What's something noteworthy right now already? And it's that important that you should address it.
Is the front door open? So
Front doors open, just feeding the fire.
yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with you getting dressed up there. You were going to a fire. Maybe these guys are showing up in their POV, but you really got to address that doorway right away. It's worth taking a second or two to close that front door. Buy yourself some time so you can see a little bit of that lift situation.
Front door's wide open.
Front door's wide open. So that should have been something already, is alignment you're addressing. Forcing the door is cool. Controlling that door is important. They're letting it get fed right now.
Yeah.
It'll definitely make it a lot easier to find where that fire's at, because that's pretty much the next step in all of this. You got that black pressurized smoke coming out. Maybe your descriptive terms right now for as far as the color of that smoke, you're looking a little white. Like I said in the last video, I try to reduce that white smoke comment until we got water on the fire. So you have a lot of things that are in that incipient stage. It's starting to get the heat. It's starting to off gas. You can see the pressure increasing and the door's still wide open.
So that fire's already up over his head. It's already lit off that awning.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. To me, it would be those gases that are on fire right there. Because as soon as he closes that door, all that went out, right? So that fire looked kind of impressive right away, but it was really all up in that top there. It was just all those gases. As soon as he closed that, $50 storm door, he stopped all of that. So what's one advantage of their tactic of heading in on side A?
It's easier to get to.
Okay, your apparatus is parked out there, easier to get to, yeah. But I mean, even looking at the picture now,
Seems like it's all in the back.
okay, even if it's all in the back, let's say, even if it was an outside in on the back side, what's one thing that you could say to justify your tactic by going inside A? We're kind of looking at it, right?
It's pushing everything out the back. The wind.
Yeah, the wind is going
coming at
side
you,
A to C. Yup, just putting that together. You opening that front door, yes, you're feeding that fire, but it's going in that direction of side C, and it's going to run out of fuel in that direction. If you see a $50 door like that, and that's what's in your way, take the door out. It's a simple step, but you can see it was messing everybody up.
Basement windows.
All right, and there's your white, your steam conversion, water on the fire, still messing around with that door. What do you think that layout is on that first floor?
Probably
Living room straight back to a kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got living room, dining room, kitchen, probably a full bath, and then if there is livable space up on that second floor, it's probably just a loft or a bedroom. I mean, less than 50 feet from the front to the back. And that smoke with that lift, as soon as they opened that, well, the door was open the whole time, but as soon as that door was open, it wasn't telling you that you had indications of that basement fire. And all we do as officers, I shouldn't say we, all I do as an officer is I'm constantly ruling out dangers that I could potentially be putting my crew in. So basement's one of them. Wind is another one of them. Understanding really where that fire is at and where it's going, and kind of keeping in mind what our assignment is, what our SOP is, and what everyone else is doing. Are they in the proper spot? Are they not? Are they, what they're saying on the radio is not matching up with what I'm experiencing? I mean, that video is pretty simple, right? there really wasn't much to it. I think we can pretty much call that video now.
All right, hold on, I can put my peepers on. I'm gonna call this a 2-story single family dwelling. I don't like the half stories. I'm not a believer in that. I would believe my initial intent is that's occupied space. So it's going to be 2 stories until otherwise proven. I got fire on floor number 2. Is that what you're looking for? You're looking for a whole size up.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. Once you get through a few reps of these, I mean you're pretty much saying what's pertinent on it.
So I think something to note, quite honestly, there, Ryan, is we're pushing hard these initial on-scene reports and these SIRs. I think our initial on-scenes are we where we think we're supposed to be. I think that's pretty important. We don't always get it, but I do think it's important. Hey, I'm on the scene of the dispatched address. If it's not right, go ahead and make that correction. And, my take on it is I can only do so much from the inside of the fire truck, right? Give my water supplies and tell you what I see before I get out of the fire truck. And that's where I personally leave my on-scene reports at that. I don't generally designate it. 2 out is up in the air. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. If I don't do it on my initial, I'll do it on my SIR. But I use my SIR to gather more information and come up with a game plan.
Right, that 360 buys you a little bit of time to kind of think about option A, B, C, and then by the time you come back around, hopefully you're chasing your crew a little bit and they were on the same page as you, but you're coming up with, hey, I'm telling everybody what my plan is now.
Yeah. But my initial plan before I get out of the fire truck is we're going to take a cross site through the front door until otherwise noted. I discover this is an outside in or something like that from the Charlie side, then I would make a change, or we could make a change at that point.
All right. Well, there's a lot of things to talk about in this little video here, but let's say, running with what you just said, let's say this is an outside in, side Charlie. It's coming out, start on the deck, outside in. What does that change your IAP?
So my initial, doesn't change anything on my initial on scene. My SIR, I'm going to update that. Would I believe it to be an outside in fire? I'm going to reposition on the Charlie side. And at that point, I probably would think as far as micromanaging, and micromanaging is a bad word, but I'm just going to use it for lack of a better word. Probably the second company at that point. Is it more important for them to back me up, which I don't really foresee that in a lot of circumstances, but then just have them position at the front and get ready to make an interior push or to protect a search.
Okay, let's say time of day is 2 in the morning right now. That's still your tactic. You're going to side Charlie and you're having second dude go to the side.
Unless it's like with you and I and we're right on top of each other. If we met in the middle, that might change, but that would be something I would communicate with you, probably verbally, and then relay to the chief. Yes.
Let's say you have a report of
we're going to go in.
Trapped.
I'm going to go in. I'm going to verbalize to get somebody on the Charlie side and begin to attack. I'm a believer of if it's on fire, put water on it and put it out.
Regardless. Okay, but you're saying if somebody is trapped on this, you're going to go in that front door.
More than yes. There would have to be a hard reason for me not to do that.
Well, I mean, you do look at that outside in argument, and that position of putting water on the fire is the safest thing. So, you got new officers coming up below you there. I'm sure every single one of those guys is going to get promoted. Do you take that hard line of saying you put water on that fire, problem will go away? We know it's an outside in. We declared it on the radio from our 360 and our SIR. We put water on this and we send that second due up in there.
Yeah.
Is that the best outcome for anybody?
I think that's a very valid tactic. I really do. I think that taking a hard line on things is difficult, not impossible, but difficult, especially with the relation to companies. You and I going to anywhere on Lockwood, we're going to be there at the exact same time. You take this into 14's area, you're just faced with a different set of circumstances with other companies and things like that. So all of those factors play into that decision, but I do definitely agree with you that you put water on stuff, the emergency goes away. But I don't know what the inside of this place looks like. Maybe if I get a peek in the front door or something like that, that might change a little.
While you open this front door, what do you think you're going to see?
I think you're going to see smoke. I don't think you're going to see it to the floor, but I think you're going to see smoke.
I don't see that.
So, I mean, opening that front door, you're going to get a lot of lift because you're not going to have any fire on that front floor.
Yeah. Unless it was on the deck and it's into the kitchen and there's a cathedral ceiling or something. Yeah. There's just so many factors, but I think outside in, it's important for us to put our eyes on the backside. And if we need to get back there, then we need to change our game plan and still account for the people that might be stuck inside.
I would like to think that regardless of outside in and even putting water on the fire and making the problem go away, if I can open this front door, have tremendous lift, indicating there's nothing below me, and there's nothing, if you will, on that first floor. Yes, windows can fail, and outside in can find out void spaces. You could have cathedral. Obviously, with the Cape Cod, you have those void spaces, but having it initially completely clear on that first floor, finding that stairwell, getting upstairs and doing that primary, and basically saying, this house is worthless to anybody that is dying inside of it because I'm standing outside putting water on the outside. If
Yeah,
I
I
can
agree.
clear that primary and just deal with it, then I would rather save that life rather than, and I know that's like the 14 scenario or Upper Montgomery or anywhere that has a second due that may be out of place. But with ABL, sometimes you don't even know. It might be 12 is your second due, but we might have been at 5 o'clock in traffic somewhere on the other side of our first due or something like that. But even just standing behind, taking all those considerations into account, not being, defending your decision as far as going inside, going to that second floor, clearing that primary, and then dealing with that fire. That should alleviate a lot of your stress and pressure on making decisions on this fire. If you are concrete on putting water from the outside on a house like this, you look at the time of the day, and presumably there's people inside this, and just staying fast on that decision to put water from the outside versus and assign a second due inside there. I wouldn't feel comfortable living with that decision, knowing that my time and my presence in there to clear that second floor would have been the number one priority. I would say screw the house if I knew anybody was in there. I'm going to go and clear that floor out.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's the whole risk a lot, save a lot, but credible information, you're going in, right? Not credible information, that might change your decision a little bit.
A
2 o'clock in the morning.
A few things that you went quickly over, and I said it last week, was giving you on-scene report from the cab. I learned that from you. I think it's tremendous, that controlled environment, being able to just say what I see and then get out and deal with the rest of it. Having my radio already physically on, and then maybe just having to switch the channel or turn the volume up to get out, go around, do my 360. My crew's already pulling on this fire. Is it a deuce and a half? No. So anything below that, to me, that makes that distance. And just like the last one, coupling at the front door is probably going to cover this whole house. Am I looking for signs of basement fire? I'm going around outside Charlie, might be outside in, whatever. If I do have a report of victim, that's going to play into my tactic. Is it coming from the garage? No. You have that Cape Cod style, so you got a lot of void spaces, heavy indicators as dormers. For the other guys that may not know, PG SOP has the layout of a Cape Cod split foyer, split level in their SOP, so that you can look at and understand the layout of it as far as terminology as well. Cape Cod fires present their own issues. If I can get a lineman that would comment, let's say our tactic is going straight up to the second floor as your first due engine. What is your experience going to be on that second floor in a Cape Cod style?
Talking about as far as like heat and visibility.
Yeah.
You're going to have high heat, no visibility. But looking from there, it looks like it's venting. So you're going to have the lift, but you're still going to have that high heat because it's a half a story.
Yeah. So this one's got a little bit of auto exposure already, some kind of maybe hole in the roof, but that not being shocked about what you find in that situation. High heat, low visibility. So what is is opening up that hand line necessarily going to help? Is that going to make the problem go away?
Going up the steps, it'll at least cool you down and cool your environment as you make progress up the stairs.
But what do you have to do to make this problem go away?
The void space itself.
All right, but you're on the lineman, you got nobody on the roof. It's just you and me, and I'm doing a search. You got the line in your hands. What do we got to do? Without communicating, we should know what we have to do on that second floor. And what's that?
The lineman's going to have to go up and just start flowing and protect the guy that's searching.
Okay.
At no point in time is that line going to shut down until you're done, in my opinion. That's a consistent flow protecting you in any of the survivability up there. And that's going from straight stream to wide fog, or not necessarily a wide fog, but a decent fog pattern to see where you're at, what you're doing, and letting it vent out through that hole in the roof that's already there.
Yeah, so keeping that line open and not keeping it where I was going out was like not keeping it in a straight. You need to keep it more of a fog. You're cooling that whole environment. You don't actually have fire to be hitting a seat of a fire. And then the next step to do that would be is you got to open up. So either waiting for that truck company or the search is done. We got a bar in my hands, start opening up those walls and getting water on that fire. But at no point, you know, as far as your experience level, once you get up there, you got to know that you're going into a zero visibility, high heat situation. You're most likely not going to be presented with fire at all, but that doesn't mean not having that line open. You got to open up that line, and a straight stream isn't going to be as beneficial in that situation as making it a bit more of like a 30 fog and just cooling that area, moving it around. And then the next step after that search is done is opening up those walls, getting to the void spaces, finding the fire, and putting that out. It's almost like just boom, boom, boom. You gotta know those steps, and hopefully, you're cohesive enough. You shouldn't really have to communicate too much of that, and we're just going to do our jobs, and that's going to be the most efficient way to handle that second floor.
Officer came out masked up. See that?
Coming up right. Oh, so the lineman.
Yeah, so the rookie struggling to pull the line.
All right, see what happens when he kicks his door open.
Not too concerned about his 360. Oh, he went right for the kick.
Bar nothing in his hand.
Remember that mule kick is a lot more effective than front on. Just blow your knee out.
So door control.
Yeah, door control would be helpful too. Zero smoke came out of there. At this point, I'm very confident of my first floor and my basement conditions.
They don't know what kind of drills we really run here.
I mean, even as a truck company, what would be your order of operations on this? What would you be looking to do first?
Ladders to those windows.
Is there a way that you can tell if that's a true dormer or not?
But the stairs are probably in the middle of the house, spaced out there.
No wings. I don't know. Short of that, I'm not really sure.
I don't think so from this vantage point. I think it is pretty important to get around to the backside of this place to look at it. Where is it? What's starting this fire? Is it the deck? Is it all upstairs? What is it? My opinion.
Yeah, and I totally agree. All those things there, like, can you tell if it's a true dormer? In my opinion, no, not at all. A true dormer would be as if it has access to that interior second floor, or if it's just like a facade, just a placeholder on top of that roof line. And all that does is really, if I'm going to throw a ladder to it or not. And you can't really tell, you don't know. So getting those ladders thrown, okay, maybe an exterior or outside vent guy, truck driver. But I mean, I would think that your first priority would be clearing that second floor, opening it up, allowing that lineman to get water on that fire. Am I concerned about vertical vent on this? Not really. It's already coming through that roof. My hole's not going to do anything different than what we already got going on here. Is it important to figure out how it all started on the exterior? Yes. But to me, clearing that primary search on that second floor is really just the number one objective on this. We can deal with that exterior. It's going to keep fueling from the deck all the way up that siding. And once that burns up, okay, we have a campfire now. We just got to put out the campfire.
Hey, Ryan, can you rewind the video a little bit? Probably a minute or two, trying to get a better look at that side delta right above the garage roof.
Out here or further back?
Go back a little bit further before the engine shows up. Is that a window?
Yeah, right here. What are you thinking about it?
I mean, you got a window on the side like that. That's pretty good indicator that, there's some type of space up there, probably livable space. Most people don't put windows like that with attic space. Not saying it can't happen, but it's not common.
It's a ladder with hose.
Yeah, see there, it looks like a window. Are we on mute?
No, we're not.
Oh, no, we're not.
Some kind of vent pipe there too, whether it be a furnace or something going up the side there.
Wood stove, pellet stove, something like that.
I mean, that would be a little interesting if it was, though, because it would be coming through the roof like that. Unless that garage was it would be easier and cheaper to put it on that Bravo side.
Workshop in the garage.
But your layout's probably the same on this. Living room, dining room, looks pretty mirrored. Bedrooms on that second floor. That's one of the things as far as the engine driver too, is getting if you need extra hose getting into that door, but attic ladders helpful there. I mean, you got 2 ladders on your rig as well, getting those thrown. Yeah, that's it. A lot of high fives, canteen with cigarettes and coffee. That's it. That's all I got. Enjoy your Sunday.